Is she up to your knees? I'm in over my head, reliving all the memories. And there's a picture that I kept of you and I laughing. Sometimes I get choked up when I think about that, and I don't know why. Do you know that I never wanna cause you pain? I keep on wishing and waving goodbye. Do you know that I miss you and I missed you and I think about you all the time? I keep on wishing and waving and I keep on saying goodbye. Planes are flying overhead, cars are parked in a row. Parents in the churchyard are watching over their own. I've seen thunder in the alley and the boys drinking bar to bar. I've seen angels on a roulette spin behind the statues of war on the streets of gold.
Hey, Jamie.
There you go, Matt.
Nice to see you.
Hey, nice to see you. How you doing today, Matt?
I'm feeling all right today. It's a rainy day here on the West Coast in Victoria.
Right.
And I had a long work day yesterday. So
right.
Today I'm just going slow, feeling my way through the day.
I hear you.
Looking forward to our visit. That's right. How are you today?
We're doing good, Matt. Doing good. So how are you in British Columbia right now? You're good with Brittany, family good, everyone good as we head into the November?
Yeah, we're very blessed out here. We've had during the pandemic, the Vancouver Island is in our house. We've been very lucky. We have a shelter and food in the fridge.
Good. And
we've lived here for about 10 years off and on. We're just very lucky.
Great. Glad to hear. Glad to hear, Matt. So let me introduce you to my audience, Matt. Better known for your moniker Northcote. You just released, and how do I say this succinctly, a heck of an album. Oh my God, Matt. Let Me Roar was just released October 23rd, Matt, and your first new record in 5 years. And I got to tell you, what a 30-minute journey, Matt. You packed so many emotions into 30 minutes. It feels like such an emotional wallop of characters, of details. It feels like you watched a Martin Scorsese movie in 30 minutes. Just a heck of a job, Matt. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jamie.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I never heard anybody follow that much depth with all the different stories. So thank you for the acknowledgement. I'm quite humbled by that.
No, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because sometimes when you hear, these albums under 40 minutes, they're light listens, they're like, oh, that was nice light listen. Yours, in the best way, it wasn't. It makes you think, it makes you cry, whether you keep on saying goodbye, you get the tears, then you get some hope, you think about your father, you do all these things. It's a really well-made piece of work. Absolutely.
Oh, thanks, Jamie. Yeah, there was a couple, during the session for Let Me Roar, we made 14 songs and we released 8.
Right.
And there was more stories to tell. The further I got away, the more I felt the songs were rambling a little bit. So we kept some of the special ones, some more simple and some more textured. And so that the fact that you're wrestling with the characters too.
Oh yeah.
That's very meaningful to me. So cool to hear.
No, absolutely, Matt. Absolutely. So, look, you've been a touring musician for so long. You've played the beautiful churches, you've played arenas, you've played venues, concert halls. So obviously, this year you haven't been able to perform live. How has it been for you?
Well, I'm feeling grateful that in January and February we had tour dates.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've been on a long break in between records, and so I wasn't a full-time musician for a few years.
Right.
And so this year I was excited to have the new record, Let Me Roar, out. And in January and February, we began the year with touring and a positive note. And then that wasn't possible anymore.
Sure.
And so I was able to put my music career on the shelf for a little bit because I was worried about day-to-day life and how would my wife and I interact with work and our community, how would we stay safe? And so I wasn't so worried about the music and touring because it was second on the list.
Right.
But now as we're 8 months in and the record is out or whatever, I'm starting to miss the connection with others that I was anticipating for the record. So the record is released with a lot of faith that time in the studio can find a home with others out there in the world.
Definitely, Matt. But you've adapted pretty well, right? You've done Reddit's Q&A with your fans. You did one recently. You did a bunch of live streams. So what type of like new interaction with your fans have you discovered, that you didn't know you could do before?
Well, the leading up to the record that came out in October, I did a Thursday open mic live stream on Instagram that was weekly, and I did 25 weeks, me and the guitar.
Nice.
And I structured the show so that I could have fan questions and discussion. And I played some songs that were on my mind, songs from the record, cover songs, everything, old country songs to New Order to Selena Gomez to kind of, just all kinds of stuff that I could try. And I challenged myself to share a story each week.
Yeah.
And so through that, the song and the story, there was a meaningful memory from the year was if I share the songs and the stories at the open mic and hear back from folks and connect in that way. So now that I did 25 of those, and now I look to more opportunities to show like me playing with the band on Let Me Roar. Sure. So that's the season we're shifting to now.
Cool. That's exciting. So let's get to Let Me Roar in just a second. But if you will, I want to ask you about 2015 and kind of like that post stage when you finish the cycle for Hope is Made of Steel, right? Because it's an interesting down period there for you. You were battling a little bit of a depression, right? You turned down some tours. You kind of needed a timeout, Matt, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm still putting the pieces of that together for me. I think that I had a feeling that the road had ended for me in a certain way.
Sure. And
I was trying to find what was ahead for me. And it's hard to not speak so vaguely. So I'll try my best to be clear.
You're being completely understood. Like you needed an evolution. We all reached those points. Absolutely. Very important. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it was quite profound because in my life, I tried to be the best musician I could be, the best husband I could be, the best brother and friend. And I realized that I was having struggles. And I didn't feel very secure in who I was. And so I felt like I was being very hard on myself.
Yeah.
And so that's, when the touring ended, I needed some time to wrestle with those things. And then when I reached out for help from others in the last couple of years, I was able to feel a bit more at peace and acceptance and enjoy what is happening in my life, getting to sing and the home that I have here. And kind of come to a more of a prairie, a plateau where I could see further, because for me, when I'm struggling with mental health or feeling sad, the mountain and the cloud is right in front of my face. Like I can't see anything else.
Sure.
And
sure.
So
it's really heavy.
When I reached out to others and I feel a sense of being able to see a larger picture, which is quite nice.
That's really nice. Kudos. Many people don't reach out, and that's such a big difference. And of course, your wife suggested this place, the Haven, right on Gabriola Island, and you kind of went there. Can you share with our audience how like nature kind of like helped you in this journey a little bit?
Yeah, it was, Jamie. It was sitting with others and just connecting and learning to listen and having curiosity again.
Nice.
And it was in a natural setting, but for me, what stood out from the people I've met was when I'm at my best, I can listen and feel, and then I feel a connection, and I feel lighter. So, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. You're getting fulfillment from connecting with others. That's a very profound. That's a very beautiful thing. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks for asking about that. Was there anything you were wondering about that? Anything further?
No. I just think it's curious because obviously Gabriel Island, you then came with Mike, Steven, and Eric, and you started kind of like connecting with them there. So I thought that was an interesting point because you had the reconnection with your bandmates and then of course the Haven. So just wanted to ask about the place a little bit, like the essence, but I think you nailed it. Yeah,
well, Gabriola Island in Victoria is on the southern tip of Vancouver Island. And then it's about 100 kilometers, is that 60 miles, up the coast to a small town called Nanaimo, and you take a ferry over to Gabriola. Nice. And so I forget, I got so excited telling you about where it is, and I lost track of my thoughts.
No, this is great. This is super interesting, man. Thank you. So you went to Gabriola with your bandmates. You went to the Noise Floor. Can you just tell us a little bit like about reconnecting with them after you rediscovering the pleasure in giving yourself away to others, to nature, to all these things? How did the Northcote evolve from this period, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, there was a couple years where I had lost contact with the musician friends that I play with. Mm-hmm. Not it wasn't a firm boundary or I lost touch on purpose. I had retreated to wrestle with myself.
Yeah.
And so coming back to Gabriola, once you get off the ferry, you drive up to the Noise Floor. That's a studio that was recommended to me by a songwriter named Ray Spoon. They're from Victoria as well. Cool. And we get to the Noise Floor, and there's a cabin in the back behind the studio, and it's an old converted garage. And it's the island has amenities, but it has touch and go cell service. And if you want to leave the island, the ferries, there's infrequent ferries. It's not like you can leave the island whenever you want.
Right.
When I met there with the band, we're kind of looking around at one another, and it's like, it's time to sing now.
That's great. I love it. I love that story, because it also puts the importance into it's like you burn the bridges almost literally, right? It's like you're in this island. Let's do it again, guys. I love it.
Yeah. And you know what, like, sometimes another lesson I learned from Let Me Roar is I tried to have all the material ready, all the plans ready, everything in my mind. But sometimes I don't get that much security. Like sometimes, I didn't know how it would go, but I did it anyway. And I had faith in my friends that we were going to do it. And that was a good lesson for me. Or I'm proud of that.
Absolutely.
That I went and did it anyway. Because if I had waited for everything to feel right, to feel like I wanted to sing, to feel at my best, to feel 100%, I may have never done it. So,
sure.
That's important for me to share with anybody listening, that
I love it.
Sometimes even if you don't have it all the way feeling right, just to go and sing anyway and see what happens.
Oh, I love it. That's bravery. And that's what you say about In Dancers and Queens, right? Your first single of the album. It's much about carving your own path, isn't it? And just, taking the road less traveled, you know, being fearless, much like you were. I love that song, but I'm curious, why did you pick that one as your first single?
I kept a pretty open mind to my collaborators. It was a team decision. I think we picked it for, to be honest, probably for the big chorus and
yeah, sure,
probably for more surface level reasons, maybe.
Sure, like an intro to the album. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like the album, like because that song shows there's going to be some production value on this record. The record's going to have lots of dynamics with the loud parts and quiet parts. The record is going to have characters. Yeah. So maybe that's why it kind of teased in that way.
But the message also works perfectly, because this pandemic, I got to tell you, this year, Matt, I think a lot of people, you know, they've put a lot of stock into their life and what they're doing and what matters. And a lot of it has to do with taking control of your decisions and taking control of your life and being a dancer and a queen. You know, it's great stuff. So it worked perfectly. I want to talk to you also about 9 to Midnight, Matt. Because I mean, the lyrics, Matt, yowzer. I gotta tell you, I mean, instant classic. And, you know, I wanted to ask you if you would give us a little bit of your creative insight into writing a song like this, like 9 to Midnight. You know, did you start it 2 years ago? Did it came quickly? Because it's really beautiful, that relationship with the father there.
I think that this song came fairly quickly. However, I had it in my mind that I wanted to write something specific for my father. I just didn't know how it would be. And I remember Mom telling me a while ago that he would come home from work, because I grew up in Saskatchewan. Yeah. Which is on the Canadian prairies. So he would come home from work in his big jacket, have a bite to eat, and go back to work.
Gotcha.
And when I thought about that, I had those memories. And then I started to have some kind of memories and dreams of going to his shop at night. And then I was transported to that period in time, you know, almost as if I was a kid again.
Nice.
And what it felt like to run through the shop and turn, you know, because the shop when you're young is a little scary, because it's dark and it's cold and the lights are way across over there, and you have to go crawl under the desk and go back to the shop where all the tools are and the oil on the ground and find the lights. And so actually going back to that setting in my mind, I think, is what made the song real for me.
So nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
It comes across, actually, now that you mentioned that, it does come across. There's all this love in that song, but it's a love in like this, like, you know, mysterious setting. It's great. It's great, Matt.
Oh,
absolutely.
No,
Let me ask you. Go ahead.
Well, I was curious if you found yourself in that song at all. Would you share anything about the song that you felt?
Well, the one song, I gotta tell you, the one song that you know, that kicked me in the balls, Matt, and I'm gonna be perfectly frank with you. I actually even shed a tear, and I don't do that, man. I mean, I listen to music almost for a living. I listen to 15 hours of music a day. I don't shed it, you know, and the Keep on Saying Goodbye hit me really hard, Matt. Well, in a good way, in a really profound way, because you know, I got divorced in April. So, you know, it was a loving marriage. It just ended amicably and all that stuff. And like, you know, we're both fine. We both love each other, but there's all this, you know, boundaries and things that you still think, and the holidays are coming and this and that and anniversaries. And so that song is the one that really just shot to my veins, if I'm frank with you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, your life is going through a change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's the only constant, right? Change.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Yeah. Well, listen, you've been so generous with your time. Let me let me leave you with this. You're obviously, you're very big on giving back to the community, to giving back to the universe. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about your mental health work, or if you want to talk about things that you as an artist have done to give back to the community, which are plenty, you know?
Oh, I appreciate that, Jamie.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, my day job, I'm a mental health worker in Victoria for an organization. Their values are that everyone deserves a home. And for where the team I'm working with, it is not required for you to be abstinent from drugs or from other things that come your way when you live outside. Yeah. And so we have I work as a mental health worker, and a lot of times it's like some days I'm just a janitor, and other days I do more visiting with others, and so it's part of my what bothers me is losing folks to a bad supply of opioids in North America.
Yeah. Big problem. Big problem we have. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I would like to see our consciousness around me and in me to reach out to others with tenderness as opposed to a hammer of judgment. Yeah. You know, because it could be any of us that struggle with many things in our lives.
Right.
And the other thing is it allows me to be a part of the community, make friends, and earn a paycheck and stuff. So it's just a job in another way too, you know, because when I'm trying to be a musician all the time, sometimes that lone wolf thing isn't great for me. I like to be out and have coworkers and things like that. Yeah. So that helps me.
Yeah. Just talk about the hockey game, that kind of thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Hear of what my coworkers are amazing. There's all kinds of writers and people in school and musicians and people who have worked in the restaurant industry.
That's great, man.
You know, so a wide variety of people. You know, in this stage of my life, I'm thinking more and more. I would really like to set an intention to have all kinds of different friends, you know, and have, really nice. You know.
That's really nice, Matt. Well, listen, I think, you know what? You have a fan and you have a friend in South Florida, in Miami. So, you know, whenever, absolutely, man. So whenever there's back to touring, you know, you have support here, you have good energy coming from here, but just wanted to thank you for your time, Matt.
Thanks for your questions and inviting me on your show today, Jamie.
Absolutely. And, you know, just a reminder to everybody, Let Me Roar on October 23rd, one of the best albums of the year. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Jamie. Bye-bye.